In this video, we're going to be talking specifically about plantar fasciitis, and we're going to be showing two different things that you can do to start really helping with this issue, this condition that's located in the foot.
All right, so Quinn, I'm just going to get you to stand up because we just want to talk about the mechanics of the feet and how ultimately this is really responsible for putting pressure on that plantar fascia, which then can get pulling at the heel and cause heel spurs. So first of all, let's talk about rooting. We've talked about rooting in our videos before, and proper alignment is really important because when we're not aligned properly, most people pronate, so they collapse inwardly, which puts excessive pressure on the plantar fascia, or they might supinate, but the majority of people actually collapse in the arch, and that causes tension in this area. So the very first thing we want to talk about is mechanics. So ultimately, we are a building. We want to have all of our foundations properly supported so we don't have any excessive wear and tear, which ultimately is what causes pain and dysfunction in the body. So when looking at the feet, we have to really look from the waist down to really get a sense of what we need to do. So the first thing is we want to have our feet directly under our hip joints. And if you notice where Quinn has his hands, that's where your hips are. They're not out here. So we want to have the feet positioned over the hip joints. We want to have the knees slightly bent. Most people hyperextend at the knees, and when they do that, it doesn't give us the ability to control where our limbs are, and that is partly what causes that collapsing. Turn back and face forward again. And so we have the feet aligned, we have the knees slightly bent. We also want to have the kneecap over the second toe. So this can only really happen when we have the knees bent. I know we don't see Quinn's knees here, but when we hyperextend, we get a rotation of both legs. So do this in front of the mirror. It really helps to actually see what's going on. And you want to have your knees aligned over the second toe. And then rooting. We want to squeeze the anus. And it's really amazing what happens when you do that. We should have 60% of our body weight on the heels. The majority of people have about 80% on the balls of their feet. When we add that action in, it allows you to bring your center of gravity back more onto the heels. And now here's the exercise that you can add in to really make a difference. Gripping the toes. So from this alignment, when you grip the toes, you start building up the arch in the foot and create proper alignment, which also allows you to sit back a little more. Can you feel that, Quinn?
Yeah, and it's not necessarily just the toes that we're gripping. We're wanting to use the whole foot. So yes, that's a great starting point, but you really want to start feeling that the whole bottom of your foot is starting to grip onto the floor, and you're creating a little bit more of a lift here. So this is more of a collapse. This is more of an activation.
Exactly.
This is more of a collapse. This is more of an activation. And when we start to train that, that's really going to help start building the structures in the foot, because this is our base foundation, and we need to make sure that it is strong because we, as Deanna mentioned, we're like a building. So if our base foundation is off, everything up the chain is going to be off.
And we really want to also bring in time. So isometric resistance is key. So when we're gripping, try to hold for 10 full exhalations as opposed to just gripping for a few breaths. We really want to cement that awareness in. So if you can do it throughout the day, this alone is really going to help bring that arch up and take stress off of that plantar fascia. Now, if you do have this, here's another thing that you can do. We've rolled up a towel here. Of course, in block therapy, we use our block, and it's very beneficial to actually use the proper tool because of the density of the tool. But if you don't have one, this will just give you a bit of a sense of what you can do. So you want to roll
and that sense of fascia decompression.
Yes, for sure. So we want to roll that towel up, and we want to place that whole arch right on the towel. You can do this hanging onto a chair, so you can lift that other foot up or leaning against a wall. The key here is the amount of time. Just like with isometric holding, we don't want to rush this. We want to spend a minimum of 3 minutes doing this because it takes time to work through those adhesions. If you have a rolling pin, that will also be another tool that you can do, which will give you more of a sense of the proper medium that's going to more effectively melt through those layers of fascia. But even the rolled up towel, over 3 minutes, it's going to start to create a heating in the area. It's going to start melting those adhesions and create a lengthening of that plantar fascia in the proper alignment when we combine it with the exercise that we initially showed you.
And then you can also start to search towards the inside, so towards the arch, towards the outside of the foot, and you want to move nice and slow. Once you find an area of pain, hang out there, connect with your breath, and we want to release the compression and the restrictions in the foot.
So if plantar fasciitis is something that you're experiencing, give this a try to just get a sense of how your mechanics are partly involved or pretty much mostly involved in what's causing it, and just something that you can do to give yourself a bit of relief. Of course, with all things in the body, when we're dealing with the fascia, everything is connected, which is why in block therapy we really target areas of the body to address certain specific issues.
Totally. And we want to spend about 3 minutes in this position if you can. That's really going to give the tissue the opportunity to release and then to help oxygenate. So awesome. So that's everything for this video. Hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, and then make sure you subscribe, hit that bell if you want to be notified every time we upload videos just like this. Other than that, we will see you shortly.